Have you ever heard of a single battle that completely rewrote the destiny of an entire civilization? A moment so pivotal it turned a regional power into the master of the Mediterranean. Most history books skip right over it, focusing on the famous victories. But today, we're digging up the story of the Battle of the Allia, the forgotten catastrophe that didn't just test Rome, but ultimately forged the empire we all know. Imagine this: a young, ambitious city-state, Rome, surrounded by powerful rivals. Its army is strong, but its future is far from guaranteed. To the north, a storm is brewing. The Gauls, a fierce and relentless people, are on the move. These aren't just local troublemakers. They are seasoned warriors who have carved a path of conquest across Europe. When their gaze falls on the Italian peninsula, Rome finds itself directly in their path. This isn't just another border skirmish, it's a fight for survival. The year is 390 BCE. The stage is set near the Allia River, a small tributary just a few miles north of Rome. The Gallic army, led by the legendary chieftain Brennus, faces a Roman force. The Romans, brimming with confidence in their disciplined legions, make a fatal error. They underestimate their enemy. They see the Gauls as disorganized barbarians. What they fail to see is their cunning, their ferocity, and their unconventional tactics. The clash is swift and brutal. The Roman lines, expecting a straightforward fight, are completely outmaneuvered. The Gauls' wild, terrifying charge shatters the Roman formation. Panic rips through the ranks. What was supposed to be a demonstration of Roman strength turns into an utter rout. Thousands of Roman soldiers are cut down, and the survivors scatter, fleeing for their lives. The road to Rome is now wide open, and the Gauls march unopposed towards the heart of the Republic. Imagine the terror in the city. The defenders are gone. The gatekeepers have fled. Citizens are in a state of pure panic, convinced that this is the end. This isn't just a military defeat. It's a psychological atom bomb. The city that saw itself as a rising power is now helpless, on the verge of being wiped off the map. But here, in this moment of absolute chaos and despair, something incredible happens. The seeds of Rome's future greatness are planted in the ruins of its failure. The Gauls pour into the city, looting and burning everything in their path. Yet, a small band of Romans holds out on the Capitoline Hill, the city's fortified citadel. It's a last stand, a symbol of defiance. Brennus, the Gallic leader, doesn't want to waste time on a lengthy siege. He demands a ransom, 1,000 pounds of gold to spare what's left of the city. As the Romans weigh out the gold, they complain that the Gauls are using rigged scales. Brennus, in a display of ultimate power, throws his own sword onto the scales and utters the famous chilling words, Vae victis. Woe to the vanquished. It's the ultimate humiliation. Rome's pride is crushed. The Romans pay the price, and the Gauls eventually depart, leaving a smoking, broken city behind. Most cities would have faded into history after a blow like this. But Rome wasn't most cities. They didn't just rebuild the walls and houses, they reinvented their entire civilization. This disaster became the ultimate learning experience. The Romans obsessively analyzed what went wrong. They realized their rigid military formations were vulnerable to flexible, aggressive enemies. So they completely reorganized their army, introducing the more adaptable maniple system. They improved their weaponry and their tactics. They rebuilt their city with stronger, more defensible walls. They learned that unity and discipline under pressure were more valuable than arrogance and brute force. The defeat at the Allia forced Rome to evolve. So, why do we call this the turning point? It's because the lessons learned from this single defeat became the bedrock of Rome's future military doctrine. The discipline, the strategic flexibility, the sheer resilience, these were the qualities that would allow Roman legions to conquer Carthage, defeat the successor kingdoms of Alexander the Great, and build an empire that spanned 3 continents. Without the brutal wake-up call at the Allia, Rome might have remained just another Italian city-state, eventually conquered by a stronger neighbor. The Battle of the Allia is often lost in the shadow of Zama, of Alesia, of Actium. But it's arguably more important. It's a story of how a civilization can stare into the abyss, suffer a soul-crushing defeat, and emerge stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. Modern historians rightly call it the battle that made Rome a superpower. It forced a painful, necessary evolution. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes our greatest victories aren't the ones we win easily, but the ones that rise from the ashes of our darkest defeats. So the next time you think of the might of the Roman Empire, remember the forgotten humiliation at the Allia River. It wasn't a story of triumph, but of transformation. A defeat that could have been the end, but instead became the beginning of everything.